Welcome. For those that don't know me, my name is Shepard Morena, and I am a professional trader. I've been trading for the past 5 years, and I've been trading for 3 years full time. I'm not just a trader. I've been involved in a couple of projects within the trading industry. I have an opportunity to manage brokers, to build my own broker, and I am still on the journey to creating more and more and more in this industry. And one of those is ensuring that I give back the knowledge that I attain, or rather, the knowledge that I've gathered so far in my career, and try to share it with as much people as I can. My main what do you call my main I'd call it a motto, but it's not really a motto for lack of a better word, is to simplify the way people trade. I'm trying to debunk the myth that trading is complicated, and I'm just trying to show people that trading is nothing but just a game of managing risk and maximizing rewards. And you do that also by just making your analyzing as simple as possible, with um, with having in mind that the market will always move the way it wants to move, and your job is just to try through technical analysis try predict where it's going to go, whether it's going up or down. But what really matters is that when you enter a trade and put a proper risk management in place. And if the trade goes your direction, you maximize your profits, which is the reward. And if it goes the opposite direction, you cut your losses at a percentage that would keep you in the market for long. Right. So today we're going to analyze AUD USD. Of course, it's Monday evening. As you might know, for the guys that know me and have been part of my community, I only trade Tuesdays to Thursdays, right? Simply because it's not really because of how the market moves or so on. I think for me, it's also just about what works for me and consistency, and actually, yeah, it's just about what works for me, right? But then not that only. There is a bit of difference between on certain days in the market, like especially on Mondays, the market tends to be um, quite in consolidation, right? Yeah, we tend to have a lot of consolidation, so there's not really much volume taking place on Mondays. Either that, we also have not either that, but I mean, consolidation is uncertainty. When a market is consolidating, that means there's some bit of uncertainty in the market, especially because you find that there were news announcements on Friday. So it's always the things that happen on Friday going over to the Monday. And now, if it didn't give us, especially if it didn't give us much of a move on the Friday, chances are the market is still indecisive, or the market players, which is me and other people, are very indecisive in terms of direction we should take. So we have an equal balance of buyers and sellers. That's what mainly a consolidation is caused by, because nobody's pushing the market up, nobody's pushing the market down. All right. Without diving into too much information, we're going to analyze AUD USD on the 15 minute. As you all know, guys, I only trade the lower time frames. I'm more of a day trader, but I usually dabble. I'm a balance of a scalper and a day trader at the same time, right? Mainly because I trade lower time frames, which is mostly scalping time frames, like your 5 minutes and 15 minutes and so on. Which 15 minutes can fall between day trading and scalping. Okay, so now I'm gonna look at the 15 minutes, and we're going to try find an opportunities that we can take. I'm not going to look at the overall of where the market is going or so on, the long-term trend. I'm only looking at opportunities where we can maximize the um, I mean, an opportunity where we can take a short-term trades, where we can actually go in and out like in this moment. So that's why I'm not really too much focused on what's happening on the bigger time frames. But then also we can always take a look and kind of have an idea of what is going on. As you can see, we're having a sort of downtrend which has been taking place for a while now. For a couple of days we have a sort of a downtrend, and then we have more of like a retest, and then now probably might have a continuation to the downside. So overall the market has been going what do you call downwards, right? A part of me wanting to simplify trading is, guys, I don't like also using a lot of fancy and complicated words for everyone. That's why I'm using words as downside and all that, and I'm also trying to diamond up the information a bit, right? So yeah, I don't want to sound very technical, so I'm trying to make it easy for just anyone that just comes in and just looks at this chart and like, this is what's happening. What I always tell people is like, guys, I don't really need to have tools or anything in place to kind of zoom this thing out and actually see that we've been having a down movement, right? You can easily see that this market is moving. It's a bearish. It's a bearish market at this point, especially on the 1 hour, which is very necessary for us if we're trading the 15 minutes, right? Obviously, if we're trading the higher time frames, we'll probably try to go up a bit to like your 4 hours, kind of see what's happening there. As you can see, it's more or less the same thing, right? We've been having a down um, a bearish trend for a while, right? With this area here being kind of key for us. So what I can say is that anything that's gonna play below this area is going to be a continuation to the downside. It's only when we kind of have a breakout out of these areas, then maybe we could sort of start looking for some bullish, right? So now let's go back to the 15 minutes and see what we see, right? So the first thing what I do when I look at when I try to analyze my trades, the first thing that I kind of figure out is I want to, because I trade chart patterns, right? I'm asking myself the questions like, what do I see, right? What's the first thing that I see in terms of my trading plan, which is usually focused on chart patterns? What do I see? What I see here, I see more of, I can say I see an opportunity to, before I can actually overall put like what's the full chart pattern, I can say I see an opportunity for a trend line, and I kind of see a move that broke out of the trend line, retested, and went out running. All right, which is a move that we probably already missed. Okay, that's a move we probably already missed. Right, that's what I see. And then I also, what else do? What does this actually tell me, or what can I make out of this? I can now confirm that this could be, or is actually, not could be because it's a structure that already worked out. This is what we call a bearish flag, right? So we had a bearish flag and a break out of the bearish flag, and then we also had a retest of the bearish flag, and that's how now we have a continuation to the downside. So what does it mean? Does it mean that we missed out on a trade, or does it mean that we should? So usually what I'll do is I'll probably like try to widen up the opportunity a bit, right? So that I could still say, okay, we had a breakout, and then I'll probably wait for like a real retest, and then sell, right? So what we seen here, I would, instead of actually having the what do you call it, the trend line on in this area, I'd have it at actually this critical area, because it's also a critical area. Because, guys, what really matters is we always look at the areas that touch the earliest areas that touch. As you can see, um, this is a very crucial area, which is 1-2 touch. So this actually validates this trend line, and then we have the same thing taking place above here. So we have more of like that's us actually widening up the opportunity to enter again, right? And guys, look, um, this thing doesn't really have to make sense all the time. Like you can see today, I'm analyzing, For some of you it might not make sense. I was like, no, but that's not. Some of you can say, okay, this you're supposed to put the trend line around this area or so on. No, no, no. The thing is, like I say, the market will always react the way it wants to react, and sometimes we place our technical analysis based on what happened in the past. So what I'm seeing right now is something that I know happens and I know it will happen, right? I'm You can't guarantee anything, but I have hope and faith that it will happen because at the end of the day, guys, I'm not gonna enter this trade until it checks all my boxes. So it doesn't really matter how I analyze it, but what matters is if I'm analyzing in a certain way, I have where I'm going to enter, I have my rules. So if the structure and the moves match my trading rules, then it's a good and a proper trade. As you can see, guys, so the first thing I look at is I try find what is the overall, what is the bigger picture. So the bigger picture is, as you can see, guys, the bigger picture is a bearish flag. And then what's the second picture that I look at? I try to look at the structure or the chart pattern that was given to me before the breakout, right? To avoid things such as fake outs, okay? So what I want to see is I want to find, before I can say, okay, this is a valid breakout, I want to at least see a sort of like in this case where we have a double top, right? So if I can have a chart pattern before the breakout, then it actually more and most times validates or gives me a hope that okay, this is a proper trade, right? So I can actually enter it, especially if I'm not going to wait for any retest. If I'm just going to enter here and go with it, so I know that I'm in a safe trade. Okay, so what we're going to look for in this case, right? We had the breakout of the neck, right? We had to move out, and I'm expecting it to actually retest around this area, to go up and retest this area, right? Which retest the trend line, and then boom. That's what I'm expecting to happen. Obviously, I'm expecting this to happen in the early hours of tomorrow because it's already late. I don't think there would be much volatility at this point. I'm just not quite sure. No, I actually think we do have news analysis tomorrow around 5 a.m. So maybe there's also something that can kind of news announcements in New Zealand, right? So because AUD and USD and NZD kind of move more or less the same. So what would motivate me to enter this position would be right would be if it meets these rules, right? We get a breakout if it goes all the way to retest there, and then it continues going down. So that's what would give me a confirmation of what if this trade is for me or not. For me personally, I usually enter my trades here, right? I would enter it around here, but to be safe, because guys, this is not really a good setup, right? And I think it's not a good setup because I messed it. Because obviously, I was honestly supposed to have had my probably my what you call my trend line around. Yeah, of it, we can still have the same thing, but I also want to have the trend line as part of my strategy because guys, if we do this, it's still the same thing because now because I missed the breakout of this trend, this flag, right? I still have an opportunity here because there was like a consolidation and a retest. So I still have an opportunity here because this is also still what do you call it? Still a bearish triangle, right? So I still have an opportunity, but I'm just giving you guys a wide enough picture. So don't come for me and say, no, you're supposed. I know, like you say, this is how we put in it, but like I'm also just opening up the gap so it can meet my rules because my rules say the bigger picture give us the big structure, which is the bearish flag. Second thing, I need the structure before the breakout, right? As you can see, guys, what I'm saying to you guys is I'm not bluffing, right? What I'm saying to you guys, I'm not bluffing. As you can see, if we can look very carefully, as much as it's not, because the structures are not always perfect, but if you can look very clearly here, you can see more of like, you can see something like this. This is what you call a double top, right? We see a double top, up, retest. Look at the area that it retests. That's a neckline, right? So because obviously it retests on the neckline. So this is the neckline, and then after the retest, boom, it went down, right? So I'm not bluffing when I talk about the structure before the breakout. Because now look at what happens usually when there's not really like a proper structure. Like here, look, It's not really like a proper structure near the neck. It's not a proper structure anywhere. We had like all these fake outs, and when there's not a proper structure, we get all these fake outs, and it's yeah, so it's a bit tricky, right? It's not always guaranteed, guys. Not always guaranteed. It's not, so don't say that it's guaranteed. It's not always guaranteed. Okay, so that's yeah. So that's what we're looking at in terms of this. Um, uh, this is our key focus here. We have more of like so I can also call this. I can call this a bearish rectangle, right? I can call this a bearish rectangle, and then we had like a double top, right? A breakout of the double top, which is also the breakout of the we had a yeah a double top, breakout of the double top, and also breakout of the bullish, bearish rectangle, and then I'll be waiting for a retest. So the two retests, so we can have a retest around this area, and then we still have an opportunity to have a retest around here, of which I actually, looking at the time, I think the retest might be around here, because usually when it's this late and so on before the early hours, it's always all these manipulation tactics taking place, right? To try to take up the weak traders out. So this is how I would have my trading setup. And then the best thing about entering early is that you have so much freedom for your stop loss, because now it's always it's a known thing. If whenever the market goes back into this area, it's already a failed trade. So you know if your stop losses are it's in this area somewhere, you know that even if it takes you out, you know that you got out of an almost failed trade, unless if it decides to go in and rebreak and so on. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking at in terms of AUD USD. The setups are not so perfect, but the only thing that's gonna make me enter this trade if it meets all my trading if it ticks all my trading boxes. And because also it's not so much of a perfect trade, I would probably enter a bit lower, wait for it to go up, so at least I'm in a safe space, right? So yeah, so that's it for AUD USD. If you have any input, anything to add, please do share. And remember, guys, everybody has their own opinion. We all have different strategies. And this is a lesson to you guys that are new, right? It doesn't always have to make sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like today's AUD USD setup is not so perfect uh, for our trade for our strategy. For somebody else's strategy, it makes perfect sense, right? But you'll see as we move on to the next videos, you're gonna see that our strategy will meet with certain what you call it, will meet with certain setups, and it might not meet with certain with some setups. So yeah, so that's it from my side. If you're interested in joining one of my communities, check the link in my bio. And for those that want to follow me on Instagram at El Cadon, El Cadon, and or just search Shepherd Morena. Yeah, thank you so much, and have a great day for those guys that's daytime, and a great evening for those guys that's evening time. Cheers.